I'll take days off, do I? When my number is called, I'll take plays off, do I? I'ma always give you 20 and 10, no matter how much you wanna pretend that I ain't clutch with it. I don't do the load management, baby I can handle it. When the heat is on, I can manage it. I'm kinda like James Harden's career.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Others Receiving Votes podcast, sponsored by M-Glow. I'm your host, Loren Woods, aka Big Low, and welcome to the Friday Inferno. You know what? Let me start off by telling a story before I get into the topic. The year was 1992. AAU. You know what? You know somebody old telling the story when they say the year was once upon a time back when I was a young whippersnapper. You know what? I don't care. I am old. That's how I'm going to start off the story. The year was 1992. AAU championships, Yakima, Washington. I remember it like it was yesterday. My team, we won the AAU National Championship that year, but that's not the point of the story. I didn't play in the final game. In the championship game, I didn't play. You know what? And I remember the game before that, in the semifinal game, my team was loaded. I mean, we were number one in the nation back when it was just AAU pretty much. I think it was BCI too back then, but AAU was like everybody played in AAU, and we were top 5 for a couple of years, and that year we had won it, and the next year we were number 1 in the nation, and we were loaded. We had some horses. Shout out to the St. Louis Eagles. Actually, when I won, we were number 1 with the Eagles, but when we won the championship, it was the St. Louis Spirits. I remember that. My man Chris Carrawell, my brother, Duke University, assistant coach, soon to be a head coach somewhere. It's going to happen. I already know it, but he was that dude, and he was that. And actually, it's something I remembered. I got to talk about a podcast where I heard some ridiculousness coming out of St. Louis a few weeks back. So I'm going to address that for sure. But that's not what this is about. But we won a national championship that year. I didn't play in the final game, and I remember in the semifinal, I got a technical foul or something like that, and it was like an unnecessary technical foul. Like I dared the ref to give me a technical foul, and I mean I wasn't that good, so he was like, "All right, cool, technical, there you go." And the coach found out what happened, and he didn't play me in the final game. And fortunately, I wasn't that great of a player back then, so they didn't really need me to win. We won the championship anyway, but I was just so pissed. I was so mad that I hated the coach for doing that to me. I was like, how dare he not play me? Like I'm Loren Woods. He better, he better recognize whatever, he didn't care. It was like, whatever. Then fast forward to my sophomore year in college. Not a great year that year. I mean, I underperformed big time that year. My team wasn't doing great. I got into a fight with one of my teammates, which I can't remember exactly what happened. I think he might have started it, or maybe we was like trash talking, and he took a swing at me or something like that. So we got into a little scuffle. It wasn't even that bad, but I got suspended by the coach, and he seemed to think that I provoked it, and whatever. It was just like he didn't even say anything. The other guy didn't get suspended, and I was like, well, like how could he suspend me, not suspend the other guy? This isn't fair. Oh, I hate you, coach. Can't believe you did that to me. So then let's fast forward to my second year in the NBA. Now, I remember this also like it was yesterday. I remember everything like it was yesterday. I have a memory like an elephant. But except for what I ate for breakfast like yesterday. But, like 30 years ago, I can tell you like how many points and rebounds I had in the game and like what kind of shoes I wore or something like that. It was crazy. But second year in the NBA, I remember the year I was started out starting for the team. One of the power forwards got hurt, so then the coach put me in at power forward. Actually, I was a center, but we were pretty much playing with 2 centers that year. I was pretty fast, I guess, back when I was younger. But so I was playing power forward, and I remember starting about 12, 13 games, and then the coach replacing me. I think the other guy came back from injury, and then the coach replaced me, and it was just all downhill from there. But I remember about 2 months into the season, or maybe it was even earlier than that. Maybe it was about a month into the season. I hadn't played a lot, But the coach came to me one practice and said, "Hey, listen, be ready because they got a kid. I think you could neutralize him. It'd be really good. You can get back into the rotation and everything, right?" So, make a long story short, I was not ready to go back into the game. I had not taken my game serious since I got removed from the starting lineup. No telling what I was doing the night before that game. I played a few minutes in the game. There were a few bad minutes. I did not look good at all. Got subbed out. Didn't play again the rest of the game, and I just went off. I'm talking about I went off on the coach, like, "Yo, F y'all ain't nothing." The GM, like, "You're terrible. You're awful. Like I hate this place. Like, y'all don't know what y'all doing. Whatever." Uh, and I got suspended. Surprisingly, right after that altercation that I had, and after that outburst that I had, and it was funny because I remember me and my man JB, we had went out that night, the same night that I got suspended. Me and him went out, and we just went out, got faded or whatever, just did what we did, just two young 20 something year olds, in the big city. Just went out. So I think that night I just stayed downtown because he lived downtown. So I just stayed, like at his crib or something like that. Was like sleeping on the couch or something. So he's in the room, I think, watching like Sports Center or something like that, or like the local news or something like that. And it came across the news like Loren Woods, center got suspended indefinitely, and for violation of team conduct, and blah blah blah, all that stuff that they say when somebody gets suspended and nobody really knows why. And we had just been out partying, and he was like, "Wait a minute, didn't they just play tonight? Like, he got suspended 3 years ago, and we was out drinking. Like, what the heck? What is wrong with this dude?" And nobody really knew what was wrong with me back then. But that brings me to the topic at hand. Because all three of those times I hated my coach. Oh, I hated my boss. And it's, what do you do when you hate your coach or your boss? So just like with the teammates, I got a lot of insight on this. It's three things that I would recommend that you do. Number one, if you hate your coach or your boss, we'll just stick with coach right now because I haven't really had a real job in my life. I count basketball as a real job, but it's not the same as clocking in at 9 a.m. and clocking out at 5 p.m. And, you see your coach or your coworkers in basketball a lot, but not 8 to 10 hours a day. Unless it's on a road trip, then maybe. But then even that time, like, you can be in your hotel room for the majority of the time. I digress. Anyway, number one, ask your coach what you need to do to help the team win, not play. And I think I've talked to young people about this before, and like their whole thing is trying to find out what they can do to play. And it's still, when you approach the coach like that, it's still, something that's selfish. It's very self-centered. Anytime, like if you go to the coach and say, "Oh, what can I do to play?" And the coach is like, "Well, we good. We winning and we doing our thing. Why why would I risk all of that, so you could play, just so you could be happy? I don't care about your hopes and dreams." Is probably what every coach is thinking. Now, I know a few coaches that would actually say that, but that's what they're definitely thinking. But you want to go and approach the coach and ask, what can you do to help the team win? And every single coach, it's not one coach that I've ever met. Now, there might be some coaches out there for sure, but it's not one coach that I've ever met that didn't want to win. And coaches will even play players that they don't like if they help them win, because, if a coach wins, the team wins, it looks good on the coach. If the coach has a lot of wins or is looking good, then coach is going to get paid more, or they're going to have more job security or what have you. But either way it goes, what you have to do is figure out what it takes to help the team win. And you ask the coach, because the coach knows, no matter if the coach is right or wrong about what it really takes to help the team win, doing what the coach wants is ultimately what you want to do. That'll ultimately help you get in the game, or he'll definitely think about you when it comes to a time between you and somebody else. That, oh, well, he's actually interested in helping the team win. So, I'm gonna give him the nod. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, whatever the coach tells you, that'll help the team win, go above and beyond that. This is something that I didn't really do well early on in my career. And I wish I had done this more because, like everybody says when they're older, oh, if I knew this, if I knew then what I know now, or if I knew this back then, oh boy, my life, and I'm no different. If I would have done a lot of things different back in, my younger days, then my life would be totally different. But whatever the coach tells you, go above and beyond that. And I'm going to give you an example. So let's just say like you're not playing or whatever, you're on the practice squad or you're on the scout team, or you're not even getting reps in practice, whatever the case may be. And let's say the coach, you go to the coach, like, hey coach, like what can I do to help the team win? The coach is like, hey, listen, you just got to be, when you get in practice, you got to push the starters, push the guys that are actually playing, like help them be better. Or if you're on the scout team or a practice squad, and the coach is like, hey, listen, you got to make sure that you know all of the plays from the practice squad. You got to help guide guys who you're playing against. Let them know what's going on. Let them know what plays coming. Figure out all the plays, all the calls. Do all of that. You hear that, then you already know what's important to the coach. What's important to the coach has his rotation. You're probably not in it. That's fine. But go watch film. Go scout other players. Go scout other teams. Report back to the coach. Say, hey, coach, listen, we went over XYZ in practice, and I like what you did, but I've been scouting this team in some other situations, and I think A, B, and C might work. What do you think? And I swear to you, the coach will tell you everything that you need to know for you to be successful in that situation. Most coaches, I won't say all, most coaches think they're the smartest people in the room anyway. They love to talk about what they know. All you got to do is just sit back and play on that. Hey, coach, what do you think? And they say, oh, no. I mean, ABC is all right, but this is why we want to do X, Y, Z. And then maybe, we can do, this other thing if X, Y, Z doesn't work. And then you just go find that other thing. And you say, oh, coach, you know what? You're right. I just went. I scouted it. I looked. First of all, the coach is going to be super impressive that you're doing all this stuff anyway. You're not even playing. That's the number one thing. And like I said, you want to be that person because on any team, you never know what's going to happen. People get hurt. People, if you're in college or something like that, there might be guys might leave school early and the coach wasn't expecting it. It might be a situation where grades might come into play, where a guy might not be able to play for 1 or 2 games or a semester or whatever. You want to be that guy that's right there next in line. So when one of those, extenuating circumstances happen, you're for sure going to be that guy. Coach is going to trust you by that time because you're going to be earning his trust doing all these things. All right, that's the second thing. Third thing, always be where you're supposed to be and way earlier than you're supposed to be there. And I can't stress this enough because being on both sides of this coin, there is nothing more infuriating than being late to practice, to a coach, being late to practice, being late to team buses, being late to film sessions, being late or even on time or even close to the time. If you want to fly under the radar, if you're not playing, like you don't want, if a coach really doesn't like you, they'll look for any excuse to fire you or to bench you. Let's just make that clear. I don't care who you think you are. If the coach doesn't like you, they will. I mean, like I said, if you're that good where you can help the team win, and even if the coach doesn't like you, they're just doing it so they can get help the team win. They can look good, job security. But if you're not that good, or even if you are kind of that good, but the team isn't winning, and if this is the professional level, like you see it all the time with so many professionals, even ones like sometimes we'll sit and think about, man, how did he get traded or how did he get cut? Man, he was that dude. Yep. Then you read all the headlines and you say, oh, okay, I see why. You don't want to get a coach or your boss, period. General managers, owners, whatever, any reason at all, any excuse at all to let you go or to fire you or to bench you. And being on time is something you have like a lot of control over. Obviously, yeah, if you're in a car, you get in a car accident or something like that, even if you leave an hour early, you might have to stay there for the police. So that might not be a good look, or, I hope that doesn't happen to anybody. But it actually happened to me one time in college. So that'll be for another day. But yeah, I had to be in the, wait for this accident. We had a game. I had to wait for this accident, the police to come and insurance and all this. I'm like, yo, let me just give you my license, stuff like that. But again, tell you that story again, because that was a pretty funny story. Later on, not today. But, you know, being on time is something you have a lot of control over. And it's one of those, it's another one of those things like going above and beyond what you absolutely have to do. And I've been in the situation where if I felt like, the coach didn't like me, or I wasn't playing, or I felt undervalued, or it was just something that mostly like internal or personal, that a lot of people weren't even thinking about. It was just me. Ah, man, like, I can't believe you're doing me like this, whatever. What would I do? Show up to practice late. Show up to film sessions like right as film session at 4. I show up right at 4. Like, there's no reason. There's no reason at all to do that. All you're doing is drawing more attention, more negative attention to yourself, and putting you in a worse position. So, like I said, be wherever you're supposed to be way earlier than you're supposed to be there. Way earlier. There's one more thing I would add. The reason I didn't have this, and I thought about it, the reason I didn't have this in the list is because, I would add to, be happy and cheerful and show that you're like a great locker room player and a great person, and, that one of those people that, everybody loves, but everybody doesn't have that kind of personality. Some people are very just like quiet, reserved to themselves, whatever. You got some guys that are outgoing, that can be like the rah-rah guys and, give everybody high fives and dap hugs and all that. But everybody's not like that. So I'm not going to add that. If you can do that, I mean, that's just a cherry on top. Do it, definitely. But, if you're not like that, then like I said, all these other things, you can do it more reserved and more quiet. But, back to my stories, the previous 3 stories that I started with. When I got older, I just started looking at all the situations I was in. And the one common denominator in all those stories, in every story, I was like, oh, I hate the coach. Oh, I hate the GM. Oh, I hate the situation. The one common denominator in all those stories was me. And this is the hard part, that a lot of people, they just have trouble just looking in the mirror and be like, nope, you know what? It was my fault. It was all me. I could have done things different. I could have, no matter what the situation was, all the things that I had control over, like, I should have made better choices. And a lot of people don't do that. A lot of people point the finger at everybody else. You. It was you. It wasn't me. It was you. It was all of them. It was them against me. They're me against the world. That's how it is. That's how everybody got that mentality. Did I really hate my coaches? No. I mean, some I strongly disliked. Like, let's not get it twisted. But they probably didn't like me either, to be quite honest with you. I mean, I was an asshole. Like many of you, I was not the easiest person to deal with. And being on the other side of the coin now, being a coach, and I've coached for a few years, I mean, it's a lot of kids that I wouldn't miss if they wasn't on my team. Let's just get it straight. I mean, y'all not that easy all the time. And I'm assuming that, bosses and general managers and coaches and all that. I mean, I've heard them talk. I know how they talk about everybody being on that side. And it's just something that you want to not be in one of those stories. So to take yourself out of that, just look in the mirror and say, you know what? Let me just do the things that I can absolutely do. This is my point in all of this. Everybody wants to play more. Everybody wants to do more. I mean, I don't think that me being an athlete for so long, if you were an athlete, or especially a professional athlete or a collegiate athlete, and you had a goal, and not playing more or giving more or doing more to help your team win, if that wasn't on the list, then I mean, you probably weren't, you probably weren't in it for the right reasons. I always wanted to play more. I never wanted to come out. I always wanted to, win and help the team win and do all these things. I mean, I had some other issues mentally and psychologically that I'm still working on. But, my thing, like my point again, is just you can only control certain things. So take control of those certain things and do whatever it takes. Do absolutely everything you can to get in the game. Y'all stay fortunate and be blessed.
I don't take days off, do I? When my number is called, I don't take plays off, do I? I'ma always give you 20 and 10, no matter how much you wanna pretend that I ain't clutch with it. I don't do the load management, baby I can handle it. When the heat is on, I can manage it. I'm kinda like James Harden's career, I can walk whenever I feel, and that's fact.